athletics.
Leaping the ball, it's gone. A towering drive into center field by Rooker.
And 29 other MLB clubs.
A Judgian blast. All rise. Here comes the judge. Swung on, hit high, hit deep to right, away back into the second deck.
Bobby Witt Jr. becomes the first shortstop in Major League history to have two 30-30 seasons.
Shohei Ohtani starts the 50-50 club.
Join us as we take you inside the baseball universe, from humidors to walk-off dingers to Hall of Fame talk. We have you covered. Spend your afternoon with us, only on A's Cast Live. Here's Chris Townsend.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to A's Cast Live. We've got a jam-packed show for you before we send it back to Arizona, where the Athletics will be taking on the Friars in Mesa, Arizona today. Second look versus the Padres as the A's opened up spring training action in Peoria. Now will be back at home. So that will be all for you right here on A's Cast and, of course, Talk 650 KSTE. We got a jammed-packed show. Coming up, a good friend is throwing out the first pitch today. We found out last night we'll be going live. As my old broadcast partner, Brent Musburger, used to say, you are looking live. We'll go to Hohokam Stadium in Mesa, Arizona for that. At 10:30, Martín Gallegos, who covers the Athletics for MLB.com, will be here at 10:30. We'll have our spring training conversation with one of my favorite A's, even though he hasn't played for the A's yet, Jefry Bolte. The numbers on this kid are pretty astounding. And we've talked a lot about him, so we wanted to, because he will not be here forever in camp. So we wanted to play this, but you need to know this name because he's coming. And he's a name that if you've been following this show, watching it on YouTube, watching it on Twitter, or listening on A's Cast, and now to we want to introduce to all of our new fans in Sacramento and Sacramento Talk 650 KSTE. You need to know this guy because he's big, he's strong, he's super athletic, he can flat out play. And at some point, he'll be in the outfield for the Athletics and hopefully for a long, long time. And he's got a soft spot in our hearts as he's what did David Force say about us? He's, that's your just South Bay honk. He got a South Bay honks?
Something like that, and he said South Bay prejudice or something like that?
Something like that. So if you don't know, and I know for some of you, you guys are like, why do you guys keep talking about this? We do have a new audience now, so we do have to explain some things that Cody and I, and if you're not that familiar with the Bay Area, because not everybody is, we come from the South Bay of the Bay Area. So we call it the South Bay. Basically, San Jose, Santa Clara County, and how I explain it when I travel. People go, where do you live? I go, whatever you think Silicon Valley is, that's where we live. And they go, oh, Silicon Valley. So Jefry Bolte grew up near Stanford, from Palo Alto, went to Palo Alto High, and we're just big fans because the moment he walked over as a second-round pick over to our set on the field at the Coliseum, we were like, this guy's a man-child. I mean, he walked over, you're like, you're out of high school? He looked like a grown man. I mean, with a little kid's head and this body of like a strong safety in the NFL. He's even filled out more. So wait till you see Jefry Bolte today here on A's Cast Live. He's the future, and he's very mature for his age. So who knows? Like if he goes to, let's say he where does he start this year? AA?
Yeah, I would say so.
I mean, if when he goes to Vegas, he's going to rip Vegas. I mean, Vegas with the ball flying, he's going to rip up Vegas.
Wait till he goes to Salt Lake and Albuquerque.
He had get how big he is. And he's put on weight this offseason. I'm going to say he's like 6'3", 6'4". He's a big kid.
Jefry Bolte is 6'3". They list him at 195.
No,
he's bigger than that now.
He had, all the power, opposite field power, all of that stuff, can run, hit, throw. He's basically a 5-tool guy if he ever starts making more contact. He had 46 stolen bases last year. Now, for everybody listening, you won't be able to see his size next to me. But if you're watching on YouTube or on Twitter, you're going to see, when I say he looks like an NFL strong safety. And to think of the speed that he has, wow. And then JT Ginn, who threw the first game this year and the last game at the Coliseum, he will start games for the Athletics this year. I don't know when, but he will. Remember, the average team uses 13 starting pitchers in a year. You need a lot of guys. JT Ginn at 11:45. So throwing out the first pitch with our buddy Road Trip Mike coming up here. Martín Gallegos from MLB.com at 10:30. Henry Bolte at 11:10. And JT Ginn at 11:45. Couple things that I want to get into. We're not playing Severino today.
If you want to play Severino, we have him because he's making his
maybe we do a little Omaha Peyton Manning and we switch that up, because maybe we do replay Severino. We'll think about that, because Severino starting today, making his spring debut, is really the person. Like, as much as we're going to be just glowing about the Mark Kotsay deal and absolutely love the signing of an extension for Brent Rooker, the main symbol for the culture, the change in the culture in the organization, is Luis Severino. Luis Severino shocked the baseball world. Absolutely shocked the baseball world. How do we know? Well, we're not guessing on this, because Severino signed, and then we went to the winter meetings in Dallas where everybody in baseball gets together. And if you were able to listen or watch our shows, as you know, the commander kills it at the winter meetings, and we have everybody it's a who's who of me sitting there for hours, just guest after guest after guest after guest. You name it, we have them on. The top media people, we have decision makers, you name it. And everybody said they were shocked or floored, because what happens is everybody's phone, everybody has MLB's app, so you get the notifications. And I started asking, because we started understanding that this was a big deal for people in baseball. They couldn't believe it. So I started asking everybody, because I got it, you got it, most of you, because if you're watching or listening to this show, you're a big baseball fan, you got the notification that Severino had signed with the A's. And it shocked the you-know-what out of people. Like, they couldn't believe it. Severino's a guy with a ton of postseason experience, spent his entire career in the biggest market, playing for the Yankees and the Mets. And it basically crushed the narrative that who's going to want to sign in Sacramento, because that's all we heard. And we had to, let's face it. I'm the guy that talks to the fans. I'm the guy that's on after the games, and I take the phone calls, and what people call up and say, I have no control over. I got to deal with it, and had to wear a lot of it, because proof is in the pudding, right? Until somebody signs their narrative of this is going to be a joke for 3 years. There's nobody who's going to sign to play in Sacramento. Are you kidding me? That's ridiculous. It's a AAA ballpark. This is the big leagues. Which then I reminded everybody, working in the NFL for the Oakland Raiders, I worked a couple games at the soccer stadium in Carson, California, Raiders-Chargers, a soccer stadium. The NFL, way bigger than Major League Baseball now. I hate to say it, but it is what it is. And the Chargers played, 3 years at the soccer stadium? I worked games there. Every NFL team went there. 25,000 seats. And if the NFL can make a soccer stadium work, clearly you can make an actual baseball stadium work that's smaller. Call it AAA or not, it's a baseball stadium. Raiders, absolutely, we took over that place. Phillip Rivers got introduced, and we had to be like 95% of the entire. It was glorious, right? And Phillip Rivers got booed. The Charger cheerleaders got booed. The last game I did there, Derek Carr did that rushed for a touchdown. The place went nuts. We drilled the Chargers. It was great. But yeah, if you can make a soccer stadium work in the NFL. But anyway, the Severino signing crushed that narrative because all of a sudden that was the biggest signing before Juan Soto. And all of a sudden, the A's had signed the biggest free agent of the winter. Now, Soto had signed for $765 million, and that would change. But that crushed the narrative. Then you had our players go to the Kings game, and our players said, "This is awesome." That crushed the narrative. And all these narratives, they're negative, and I get it. And I'm never gonna be mad at the fans. You lose your team, you're pissed. You're angry. I get it. I never told you not to be angry. I totally understand. But my job is to move forward with this franchise, and Luis Severino crushed that narrative of saying no one's ever going to sign. Guys are going to sign. Then Brent Rooker signs the extension because he wants to be here. Lawrence Butler, we believe, will sign an extension because Lawrence Butler could say, "Hey, no. I'm going to wait." No, Lawrence Butler wants to be here. So the narrative, no one's going to want to be there. No one's going to want to sign. And once again, the way they were treated up at the Kings game, Golden One Center. By the way, when I first went to the Golden One Center, I haven't been in the arena yet, but been around it. I was so impressed because I'd heard, like, wait till you see it. And we had the Severino press conference. And when I was walking all around, I went, they did a fantastic job. That's what modern day sports is. You build a facility, and then you have places around for the fans to go. The days of build a facility and have an asphalt parking lot around, as much as we love the Coliseum, that's archaic. People want a place to go drink, eat. You can bring your kids. There's things to do. That's modern day sports. I mean, Philadelphia, if you ever get a chance to see what Philly did, Philly's amazing. I mean, because you got the Eagles Stadium, you got the arena, you got baseball. They're all next to each other. Then they got Philadelphia Live. We've seen from our television broadcast, our boss Delaire will always have Texas Live put on there, which is right next to the ballpark in Arlington. The Cowboy Stadium is just down. It's an unbelievable place for everybody to go. It's music. There's all kinds of restaurants and bars inside this, for it's hot, so it's indoors. So it's incredible. They have the same thing in Philadelphia. It's called Philadelphia Live.
And there's a casino right very close too. I was just there this past summer at the ballpark when we played in Philly, and I saw they have a casino right there too.
You always got to bring it back to gambling, don't you?
I'm just saying.
You always have
for the fans. They got everything
always
right there.
Got to bring it back to gambling. 1-800-ADDICTED. No, so that's the modern day way to do it. And Golden One, like walking around, and then we ate, and we've been around there. It's really, really cool. Do we have the star of the show here ready to go for A's Cast Live?
Yes, you do.
The great Road Trip Mike, we found out yesterday, will be throwing out the first pitch today before the Athletics and the Padres. Road Trip, for a lot of our fans, we follow your travels. As last year you went to every single road game. They're documenting it. There will be a documentary coming out at some point about your travels. You've been a good friend of mine for a long, long time, a big part of our fan base. You sneak in basically to everywhere you go. Somehow you get to know everybody. So please explain today, because usually it's sponsors. You had to do something special to throw out the first pitch. Basically, you had to give money to somebody. I know you didn't give money to anybody. How the heck are you throwing out the first pitch today?
Well, let me clear that up for you first. I don't have any money left to give to anybody. I'm too busy spending it on these roads anywhere and everywhere. So, yeah, we couldn't do that. So I don't know. They called me and rewarded me with an opportunity of a lifetime. I feel like I'm 12 years old. I'm so excited. I woke up first thing this morning at 5 o'clock, and I'm going to show you the van in a minute. We're inside the van. I loaded up the blankets and the pillows, and I threw a ball into the blankets and pillows to warm up the arm because I will not be embarrassed and try to kill a cameraman with a bad throw.
Yeah, I'm making sure today that there will be video of this, and if you tank this, if you do a total choke job, I will make sure personally that you never live this down.
Well, Tony, and that is the whole reason for the practice. Now, I'm going to try, like you say, sneak in a little bit and try to warm up.
Yeah.
But one of the biggest honors I have is my catcher will be the great Lawrence Butler.
Now, how cool is that? Lawrence Butler, who is becoming, I mean, everybody in baseball now, Buster Olney's now blowing him up. Everybody in baseball knows what a special talent he is, but it's very special for you because in your travels, you have now become friends with Lawrence's father who lives in Florida.
Yeah, and I couldn't wait to talk with Lawrence's father. We talk just about weekly. He's a great man, and he's willing to jump in the van and take a trip. Going to be road tripping, and he's told his son that. And yesterday, when I got the word that I'd be throwing out the first pitch, Lawrence Butler, I happened to grab a minute with him before the game. I walk over to him and I said, Lawrence, I said, they've given me this honor to throw out the first pitch. And before I could finish, he said, would you like me to catch it? That's the type of guy Lawrence Butler is.
Yeah, Lawrence Butler, you know, we talked about Max Scherzer yesterday, kind of from the old school baseball ways, very entitled. I'm pretty sure that no matter what happens in Lawrence Butler's career, when we start talking about dollars and, you know, someday he's going to be a very wealthy man, Lawrence Butler is somebody who loves everybody and is really like a beam of light. So speaking of, since we're in Sacramento, lighting the beam, he is that beam that rises up in this organization, as everybody in this organization has been a big part of his career. Because when you're in the minor leagues and you're traveling on buses, and all the coaches get very close with the players, and everybody in this organization loves Lawrence. We drafted him out of high school. It's like we raised him, and he's very, very special. That's why it's going to be very, very important that as he grows as an athlete and he gets better, that we make sure that he stays here for a long, long time. And it's these relationships, like you talk about, you know, how special he is. So I think that even if he signs a $300 million contract, he's still going to be this guy. Quickly, road trip, because we got to go to Martín Gallegos. Show us the van. This is the famous van that goes all around the country as you take this van following the A's.
Okay, this is the front. As you can see, I have my beloved Notre Dame seat covers.
Yeah.
I had to stop at Buc-ee's and get me a little Buc-ee to stay on the gear shift. Then we go over here. We've got our refrigerator. We've got the octopus from Detroit. We got the dog to retrieve the bats, Willie Mays. We have the counter area. We have the shower, and we have the other facilities. And in here, the beloved A's jerseys, along with my A's cast.
Nice. That's what I'm talking about. All right, road trip, we got to roll, buddy. Good luck today. Do not get on top of the mound and do not one-hop it.
I will be warming up the mound for Luis Severino, and we're going to do good today. Talk to you soon, Towny.
Love you, buddy. Take care. Good luck.
Love you.
I got to tell you, having thrown out the first pitch multiple times, it's been a few years. It is very nerve-wracking. See, what people don't realize is if you get up on the mound, you forget you're now up. So the first time I did it, I had the great Adam Rosales catch me. And I go, hey, man, I'm going to air it out. So I haven't been on a mound since
College?
95. Was my senior year at San Jose State. So that was my last outing, was in 95. So, and I'm bringing it. And I come down the mat, and it sailed on me. So the second time I did it, I realized, okay, I was going to mix it up. I brought an extra ball because what happens is it's weird to throw something without, your left hand for a right-hander like I am. For your left hand, to have nothing in your left hand, the weight, because you normally have a glove or you have that. So I brought an extra ball. I brought my twins out with me. They were young kids, and Dick Callahan did you probably weren't with us at the time. Dick Callahan did a whole little speech about me and everything. And it was great. And to the fans and everything. But then I got there and I threw just a bullet right down the middle and looked over to Bob Melvin and went, uh-huh. But yeah, if you're not prepared, the adrenaline's pumping, you got the crowd. You can see why people freak out, and who knows, 50 cents, you throw it off, hit somebody. I mean, you can see how it can go. You can go a little sideways. So Road Trip Mike, good friend of this show, is going to be throwing out the first pitch today.
Did you tell Melvin that after you threw the dart, I can get you one? This is back before the 3-batter minimum, so you could just went out and got him.
It's got to get you one.
Yeah. We could have made a special exception, put you on the 40-man.
Ken Holtzman won a lot of games, a lot of big games for the Athletics. He and Ray Fosse implemented a straight BP fastball. What is a BP fastball for a pitcher? Like, what do you mean you want to throw BP? Guys are so geeked up when they are in the batter's box that when you just take so much, once again, it's just the disruption of timing that you can throw one and you just soft toss it in there, and guys are so out in front of it, they just pop it up or roll over it for a ground ball. So, yeah, you get up there and just throw it down the middle, lob it in there. You get guys out. I mean, how many times have you seen the Ephus pitch? So, I don't know. I can give you one.
Apparently, there's a guy now that I forget if he's in the Twin system. Somebody tweeted out yesterday. There's a guy throwing an 87-mile-an-hour knuckleball. Be like the fastest knuckleball recorded.
That's a hard knuckleball.
If he makes it to the majors. Yeah, I forget the guy's name. I'll see if I can find it before we end the show.
Knuckleballs are no joke. If you ever have the buddy that you're playing catch and he's got a really good knuckleball? Knuckleballs are no joke. They're hard to catch. Who was was it Doug Mirabelli was the knuckleball specialist catcher for the Red Sox?
Yeah, he always caught Wakefield.
Yeah. And they'd have the bigger glove.
Corey Lewis of the Twins, he threw an 87-mile-an-hour knuckleball this spring, according to Danny Vietti of CBS Sports. 87 miles an hour.
I don't know why. In a time and era where we struggle so much with finding guys who can give you innings and starts, that we don't figure out how to get more knuckleballers in the game. Because we know for a fact. Ask our guy Sparksy with the Astros. We know for a fact these guys don't get hurt and they can give you a ton of innings. I mean, there are years where Wakefield was dominant. He's taking the ball every 5 days, and I'm at least going to get 6-7 innings out of him. Versus every single time we have so many guys, we go out, we literally cross our fingers and go, God, I hope he doesn't get hurt and he could just give me 5, right?
It's pretty ironic or coincidental, either way you're looking at it, that we're talking about knuckleballs, and Matt Waldron's pitching today for the Padres.
Wow, he pitched game one against the A's.
Oh, it's been 5 days, so yeah, he's back on the bump for the Padres. Speaking of knuckleballs.
Well, he's not a knuckleballer. He's a guy who can throw a knuckle.
Yeah, he doesn't just primarily throw a knuckleball. But yeah, he throws.
Like he just started throwing it. It worked. Like Steve Sparks, broadcaster now for the Astros, former A, who we love having on this program whenever we take on the Stros. We've talked to him about it. And he's worked with people, and all the knuckleballers, the Necro brothers worked with people for years. And you may think, hey, these guys are talking about knuckleballs. But yeah, I mean, the one thing that they can give you is length and health. I mean, I would be totally up for it. Like, if we had a knuckleballer and you said, hey, listen, he's going every 5 days and I can get 30 starts. Awesome. Now the other 4 I got to figure out. Like, if you said I could go Severino, Springs, Sears, whoever would be your 4th, Estes, Beto, whoever, and then a knuckleballer, Wouldn't you be fine with that? Just knowing every 5 days this guy's going to take the ball, and I don't have to worry about it. He's going to be coming out and he needs Tommy John surgery.
Yeah.
Or he's going to need his second Tommy John surgery. Or all of a sudden he's hurt and we're all on pins and needles because now he's going to Dr. Miser or go to whoever, Elatrage. Whenever you hear that, it is really, it's so disappointing when you hear he's going to get a second opinion from Dr. Elatrage. You go, oh no.
It's never good.
It's
like when NFL players go see Dr. James Andrews.
It's never good. It's like, well, they're going to do the PRP injections and they're going to give it time. Oh, no, that's not good. Knuckleballers, you don't worry about that. They take the ball every 5 days, and they can give you a ton of innings. I just pulled up Steve Sparks' career to give you an example of he had a run of just pitching 33 starts, 30 starts. I mean, it's just like they're able to go.
The most recent one would be R.A. Dickey.
R.A. Dickey won a Cy Young Award.
Yeah, he was really good for the Mets. Then after the Mets, Blue Jays, then he went to the Mets. But yeah, Dickey, the year he won the Cy Young.
Give me some start years. What do you get? Yeah.
The year he won the Cy Young, he started 33 games, pitched 233 and 2/3 innings.
Well, look at this run by R.A. Dickey Knuckleballer. 32 starts, 33 starts, 34 starts, 34 starts, 33 starts, 29 starts, 31 starts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In a 7-year span, he's averaging about 31 starts. 7 years. You wouldn't take that right now? 7 years, I'm getting 30 starts a year from a guy. Hell, I don't even care what your ERA is. You know how much you're saving the bullpen and you're saving everybody else by taking the ball 30 seconds. And that's what we're hoping from Severino. That's what we're hoping for Sears. I do believe Joey Estes is going to be that kid. Beto could be that guy.
A lot of people like him this year, prediction-wise.
Springs, I would love it. But obviously, past 2 years, come back from Tommy John, you're not going to, would love it. But you want to be successful in a season. You want to get to the A's over 500 and start winning. And let's talk about the division. You're going to need starters who give you starts because otherwise you burn your bullpen. Coming up next, what's been happening at Spring? The guy who's been in the clubhouse every single day joins us next right here on A's Cast Live.
A's starting pitcher Luis Severino joined Towny on A's Cast Live in Mesa and discussed his role as a veteran leader in the clubhouse.
For me, just learning for the guys that like when I was younger, Cesar Sabatia, Ivan Nova, Michael Pineda, I played with Aero. So those guys teach me how it was, how it is to be in the big league. So I would try to do the same thing with those guys, if they need me. When my first year, I was trying to impress everybody, so right now it's just, trying to get ready for the season. So if I need to talk to those guys and let them know, you don't have to be 100% every time. You don't have to go 100% every time, When we need you to go 100% out there and pitch, that's the day you want to compete. So don't go out there and go crazy and try to get hurt and taking ground balls or trying to catch a fly ball that you don't need to. So just to, let them know what I learned while I was younger.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/AceCast.
The time is now. Pitchers and catchers have officially reported to Arizona. Grab your sunglasses, A's gear, and get ready for some fun in the sun as the Athletics get ready for the 2025 season. Now's the time to make plans to catch us in Mesa, Arizona, starting on February 23rd, and enjoy the sunshine of your family and friends. Grab your tickets early for the best seats at the lowest prices as your green and gold take on the Giants, Padres, Dodgers, Angels, and more at Hohokam Stadium. Don't wait. Get your tickets at athletics.com/spring. That's athletics.com/spring. A's All-Star Mason Miller joined Towny on A's Cast Live to talk about the responsibility getting the final 3 outs in a game.
It's exciting. It's the time of the game. Everything that's went into it is building to that point. And usually when I'm in there, it's an opportunity for us to win.
Yeah.
So just pitching with that energy, pitching with that mentality that I just got to get 3 outs. It doesn't have to be pretty. I want it to be pretty, but it doesn't have to be. You know, it's just like just get 3 outs, hold the lead, get the guys in the locker room, and celebrate a win. So I love it, and I feel like I just embrace it and take the role for what it is.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/acecast.
The A's YouTube page is your go-to destination for A's video content. Get access to great highlights, exclusive behind-the-scenes content, classic games, A's Cast Live, and more. Visit YouTube.
Streaming from the studio, A's Cast Live continues with Chris Townsend.
All righty. Just got an exciting text from someone in Sacramento. Old Towny may be doing a little business in Sacramento. How about that?
That's always good news, right?
Yeah. Excited. You got your hotel all done, ready to go?
I sent the email like last month. I haven't got the confirmation yet, but Shirley will take care of it. She's always on top of everything. So I'm looking forward to her.
By the way,
a little over a month away.
Shout out, speaking of hotels, to the Omni ASU Tempe. Phenomenal hotel. Shout out to them. They're going to give me a couple nights for the whole debacle with the
rental car.
The rental car debacle. If you heard yesterday, I come out. We got the game in surprise. Is Martín Gallegos ready?
He's here, yeah.
As Martín, you have traveled the United States many, many times. Ooh, we got an echo. How do we get rid of that?
I'll have them walk.
Okay, so the Omni, they're bringing my car, valet, and Martín, you there?
Yeah.
Okay, so check this out. Before the game against the Royals, I go get my rent-a-car, and, I got to get all the way to Surprises Far from Tempe. So I get in the car, buck out to Tempe, and next thing you know, I get done with this show, and I'm ready to do the broadcast with Chris Carey, and I get a phone call, and it says the Omni Tempe, and I go, oh, boy, what did I leave? Like, I'm thinking I left something. Well, the lady tells me I have the wrong rent-a-car. They gave me the wrong rent-a-car. So essentially, the rent-a-car they gave me, it's like the exact same car. It's just like a little bit different color. I have someone else's car. So now all of a sudden there was panic back at the hotel. I didn't know it. Luckily, it was another A's employee, but the Omni is taking care of me. I really appreciate it. And by the way, a first-class facility, no doubt, absolutely awesome. How are you, Martín Gallegos? It's been a couple days.
I know it's been a little while. I'm good though. It's starting to warm up out here. I feel like it's warming up a lot sooner than it used to, which is, I'm not complaining about it. It's nice to be out in the sun, but having a good time so far.
Yeah, I heard it was like almost 90 degrees yesterday.
I know. Yeah, I think my car was at like 90 when I was driving back from Peoria. I was like, man, I packed like a few extra sweaters this spring. I haven't really had to break them out, so I might have to, I could add a little extra space, but it is what it is.
I'm the exact same way. When I got home and I unpacked, I'm like, I had these sweatshirts because I was thinking when we went out at night, it was going to be cold. No, it was strictly shorts and polo shirts the entire time. Right now, if I was to pick your brain on everything you've been seeing, what is the biggest question you have about this team right now?
I mean, there's not a lot of question marks when you're looking just in terms of roster. I mean, you kind of know what you're going into the season. Maybe who's going to be that fifth starter. We saw Mitch Spence and Joey Estes pitch yesterday. They both look pretty good. But, I mean, as far as question marks, I think it's more just, can this team, live up to the big expectations they have going into the season? Obviously, there's high expectations that they could compete for a playoff spot. And I think, the vibes are good in camp. It's going to be just kind of once the season starts, how they start out. Are they going to have, a good start? I know last year they had a little bit of a slow start before they turned it on. Obviously, this is a different team with a lot more talent, a lot more veterans. And I think maybe there's some good, I don't want to say it's pressure, but some high expectations to get off to a good start. I think they're expecting that. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I think you're hitting the nail right on the head, right? You can have big bravado in spring, but if you go out and lay an egg to start the season, it is very depressing. So, I mean, sometimes it's better to under-promise and over-deliver when you go, hey, we want to be competitive, and next thing you know, you start out well, and everybody's like, wow, but there are expectations. That's, you know what? They're internally and their expectations from a people around. I don't think there's big expectations in baseball, but I think for us who follow it on it, we follow it. We know the guys. Everybody's been so focused on the business, the politics, the move to Sacramento, Las Vegas, everybody, the departure, the divorce from Oakland. Everybody's been so focused on that. They really haven't been focused on baseball. So it's kind of like it depends on where your focus has been. But if you're like us and we've been focusing on this team, yeah, we believe they're going to be much better.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, everyone who's been watching this team, I think that's why you have this expectation that, the people that are in the building saw what they did last year. And, I think there are some more national outlets that are starting to come around a little bit. But, yeah, I think if you look at, like, projections, I think most people still have the A's finishing, like, fourth, which I think if you ask anybody in that locker room, they're going to kind of laugh at you. They feel like they're going to make a run at this thing. But, Kotze's done a good job of kind of, when he's asked about that, kind of tempering it. And he knows there's still going to be some growing pains. I mean, a lot of these guys have barely gone through their first full season, if that. Some of these guys haven't even been here a full year that have high expectations. So there are still going to be some growing pains, but the expectations in that locker room, you talk to anybody in that locker room, you go around the room, everybody's expecting big things. And I think that's what you want when you're a young team that's gone through a rebuild. Obviously, we all know how the last 3 years have gone. It's been difficult. But through that, and especially the second half of last year, they've identified a group that going forward, they believe is going to be the group that gets them back to the playoffs and making these a run at do some pretty special things here in the next 3 years, especially as they move into Sacramento.
Martín Gallegos from MLB.com covers the Athletics, joins us here on A's Cast Live and Talk 650 KSTE. Okay, so when you start thinking about the division, we had this stat yesterday that Fangraphs has, they put a percentage on your chance to win the West, and they had the Rangers as the top team at only 33%. It's the lowest percentage for a team to win the division to start a year on Fangraphs since 2016. So what it tells you, at least from Fangraphs' perspective, it's really kind of a wide open deal.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the kind of the perception around the league is there's not really one team that stands out. I mean, I think if you had to ask me who I think is probably the favorite, I'd say the Rangers, but it's not like a confident pick. And I mean, the Astros, you go down the list, the Astros have lost a lot of guys. They're not the same Astros. I don't think that they necessarily got better at all. They did try to make up for some of those losses, but I don't think they're as good a team as they were last year. And a lot of their guys who were the guys are starting to age, like Jose Altuve. So I don't know. I could see them still having a good year, but I wouldn't be surprised if they take a notable step back. The Mariners might have the best rotation in baseball, but their offense, I don't know if they did nearly enough to kind of address that issue. The Angels are a mess. So, I mean, if there's a year where a team kind of sneak up on people and not even sneak up, but, take reins, the A's have as good a chance as anybody in this division, I think, of making some noise.
All right, so you just did an article on Mitch Spence and Joey Estes. Joey Estes has the making. He's got the stuff, but he's got the mental makeup of a guy who could be a top of the rotation kind of guy. Obviously still very young, but he gave you 24 starts. Mitch Spence last year proved himself in the bullpen. That earned him starts. He gave you 24 starts. What's interesting about Mitch Spence is that he's also very effective. Rule 5 guy, so he had to be on the roster, but now he's very effective. He can start the season out of the bullpen. Both these guys are going to pitch a lot of innings, whether it starts, games. Both these guys are going to give you a lot, but if you had to handicap it, we got a long way to go. But if you had to handicap it, who do you think wins that?
Yeah, I think it would be ideal if Joey was the fifth starter just because I think he's probably more used to starting. And Mitch, like you said, has done the relief work, and he's done it well for this team. And I know, talking to Mitch, obviously everyone's going to say when they're, in between roles, they all want to be starters. And I'm sure Mitch will get his starts. Like you said, they're not going to go through just 5 starters this whole year. They're going to need a lot of starters on deck. So even the guys who don't make this roster are going to pitch at some point this year. And that's kind of been the messaging from Kotze to the younger pitchers on the staff is, you know what, even if you don't make this roster at a camp, you're going to pitch at some point. But yeah, if I was to handicap it, I'd say Joey's the 5th guy and Mitch is is a relief pitcher, and I think Mitch has the chance to be a really good kind of multi-inning guy. The way he looked last year before he moved to the rotation, he handled that role pretty well for a guy who hadn't really been used to pitching out of the bullpen. Obviously, he never pitched in the majors before last year, but to kind of be thrust into that role, he did a really good job, and both guys looked pretty good in that outing last week or yesterday, and both guys have been working on some things this offseason, tinkering with some new things, and they feel a lot more confident having had that taste of success last year.
All right, when you look at Luis Severino, you're talking about 14 games in his career in the postseason, 13 starts. That's 60 and a third innings in the postseason. So essentially, the A's got a dude. He's a dude. Like, this guy's pitched in New York. It's the Yankees. It's the Mets. It's the pressure cooker. You were in Dallas, so I was talking about it earlier, and I want to hear it from you, and I want the audience to hear it. It's a big deal when you talk about the start of this change in the culture of the organization. When Severino signed, it changed so much how people view the organization. Everybody's like, no one's ever going to sign to play in Sacramento. You were in Dallas. You were around all the baseball people. You tell everybody, what was it like being the guy who covers the A's? And Severino at that time had signed the biggest contract of the offseason.
Yeah, I think everybody was shocked. I think the first thing everything asked me, like, what's going on over there? What, all of a sudden they're spending this money? But, I think people don't really realize, kind of with all the outside stuff that's been going on, is they've been building kind of to this point with the way that the rebuild has gone. Slowly, they've had guys, whether it was in 2023, Shea Langlier's coming up, or Zach Geloff coming up, Lawrence Butler, all these guys have been getting their feet wet. Guys who projected to be good players. It doesn't always work out that way, but they've had enough of those guys come up now. They've identified Brent Rooker to where they feel like they have that core in place, and now it's just about adding a guy like a Severino, adding like Jeffrey Springs, a guy like Leclerc to your bullpen, a veteran like Gio Urshela who's going to give you really solid play at the plate with the bat, and on defense. And it's just kind of finding those missing pieces that are going to get you to that next level. So yeah, a lot of people at winter meetings were shocked when they saw that the A's, they basically kind of set the market for starting pitchers with Severino signing that deal. And they continued to add throughout the winter, and now coming into spring, I think more people are kind of realizing, wow, this team is, actually serious about winning. They actually feel like they can win now. And, it's like we said, it's still to be determined once the season starts. They got to get off to they feel like they can get off to a good start. If they don't, then, the question marks will start to arise. But it's just a whole different era of baseball. And I think, to the outside world, it's kind of shocking because of, how the last 3 years have gone. Yeah,
and for us who are around it every single day, it's a lot of fun, because for so many years we were talking about, if you play well, you're going to get shipped out at some point. Once you have the ability to start making money, it is what it is. And we always had to talk about it ad nauseum. Now you're talking about spending money and keeping guys. It's very, very refreshing. It's a lot of fun. So we're bringing this new team to Sacramento. It's going to be sold out every single night. There's so many positive things going on. And one big positive, what we hope, and we know what Lawrence Butler means to this team as a person, right? Everybody loves him. I talk about how he's risen through the minor league system. All the coaches love him. All the players love him. He's a really special guy. What are you hearing right now about the potential of an extension for Lawrence Butler?
Well, I know that it is something that's kind of ongoing. They're talking pretty much every day almost. And I know Law wants to be here. He loves this team. He loves the organization. I know they want him to stick around. So, I wouldn't be surprised if we see something get done pretty soon. They are talking. I don't know specifics about how long it could be, but he is not eligible for arbitration for a couple of years. So it'll be interesting how they kind of structure that deal. You kind of look around the league and see, other examples of guys who have been his situation. But they're looking at him as a potential, face of this franchise. Really, like, Brent Rooker is obviously the star guy right now, but Lawrence at only just 24 years old, he's got a whole career ahead of him, and he's only going to get better, which is crazy to think after that second half he had last year. But there's still another level that he thinks he's going to get to, and he works hard. And you see him early in these games. It's only spring training games, so you don't put too much stock into it, but he's crushing the ball. Everything's coming off the bat, 100, 105 plus. he's just so locked in. And I think he just knows what type of player he's going to be, and he's going to get there no matter what. And he's put in the work. He works hard, and he's a good example, to be that type of face of the franchise you want for a team that's heading into a new era. You want that guy to kind of be the face where you can market, do commercials, whatever, advertisements. He can be the guy. Great personality. It's not just, you're not just getting a good baseball player with him. He's a fun personality, a guy who, is a great interview, and he can do stuff outside of baseball. So those are the kind of things that you want when you're thinking about signing a guy long term, and he checks all those boxes for sure.
Yep. I mean, he's got the game. He's young. He's good looking. He's got a great personality. I could see him on billboards in Vegas. I mean, you could totally see it. And his buddy, who I believe in, he's very tight with Zach Geloff. They've come up together. I know Zach Geloff struggled last year, and I know early in spring there's been the strikeouts. I still believe that Zach Geloff has star-like qualities, and I think he could be. I mean, what does this team look like if Zach Geloff finds it again and starts hitting the way we know he can hit?
Yeah, in a lot of ways, it's kind of like he's a key piece. I mean, this lineup is going to be good no matter what. They've got a lot of pieces now in place in that lineup. But if he's like back to close to the 2023 Geloff that we saw, it changes this whole offense. I mean, this offense could be one of the best in baseball. And he's just so dynamic. I mean, the speed, power element of his game. Even last year, as he struggled, his thing still like 17 homers, 23 stolen bases. So what he brings to the table as far as the dynamic athleticism. Plays really good defense at second base. That was the one thing that stood out to me last year was even as he went through those struggles at the plate, he didn't bring it out to the field. He was one of the better defensive second basemen in all of baseball. And I think if you look at the metrics, it'll kind of back that up. So I know he's working really hard. He's really hard on himself. He was really frustrated about last year and the way he was kind of unable to follow up what was a year with high expectations going in. And he's working on some mechanical adjustments at the plate. It's tough for these young guys when you only have, even a year in the big league isn't a lot of time. You're still kind of trying to figure out who you are at the plate. But the one thing that he has is that tireless, relentless work ethic. Every day he comes in. It kind of reminds me of back in the day when we see Matt Chapman coming up and he was always, you barely see the guy in the clubhouse. He's always doing something. He's always working to try to get better. That's what Zach Geloff is doing right now. And I know he's trying to work through the plate issues, but I think he's going to figure it out just because of the way he is. He just doesn't stop. He's always going hard, maybe sometimes too hard. They kind of maybe rein him back a little bit more, but he has everything it takes to be a really good player in this league for a long time. And I don't think the A's have lost one bit of confidence in him just because he had a little bit of a down year last year, dealt with an oblique issue, which is always a tough injury to come back from. But he's coming into camp this year motivated as ever to kind of show people that he's better than what he showed last year.
Yeah, I still think Zach Geloff can be a star in this league. He's got unbelievable talent. He's got the makeup. And you mentioned Matt Chapman. We can go to his buddy, Matt Olson. If A's fans remember, Matt Olson, that whole thing was a debacle the way they're putting him out right field. They're bringing him up. They're shipping him back and forth. Remember, you could ship a guy back and forth, and that was not to Vegas. That was to Nashville. He was taking long flights up and down and up and down and up and down. I remember doing interviews with Matt Olson saying, I have a lot of respect for you because the way that was handled, I didn't agree with it. I know Bob Melvin didn't agree with it. But he rose above it, right? So there's going to be obstacles early, and these guys got to learn, and there can be some pitfalls early. But if you're a legit player, you will overcome it. So I do believe Zach Geloff is going to be a really good player. Now, we're starting to see a lot of the first-round picks. So, Tyler Soderstrom is going to be at first base. It's a big year for him. We had the interview yesterday with Max Muncy. I think at some point Max Muncy is going to be here. What's your impression on Nick Kurtz, the kid out of Wake Forest who went number 4 overall last year for the Athletics in the draft?
I mean, excitement. I think he looks like a big leaguer on just in every way. Like you look at him on the field, the way he handles first base, the way he handles himself at the plate. He's a big guy. Obviously, it's kind of, the comp that they threw out was Matt Olson, just because of, he's a big dude, advanced approach at the plate, really good around the base at the bag at first base. Kind of a little bit more athletic than you might think he is, just based on when you first look at him. He could move around a little bit. He's not a speedster, but he can move. But I mean, my feeling is like we're not going to see him at AAA for too long. Like this guy is going to be here at some point in 2025, I think, contributing to this team. He's just so far along in his development. It's kind of rare that you see. I mean, I know Jacob Wilson with the bat was obviously considered advanced, and he made it up here pretty quick. Kurtz could be up here even quicker, just because I think he's just going to go down there, and whether he starts the year at AA or AAA, he's going to dominate every single pitcher that he sees, and it's going to get to the point where it's hard to keep him down there for too long. I mean, I know they don't want to put a lot of pressure on him, and just talking to him, he's not coming in here feeling like, I'm going to get up there quick. Whenever it comes, which is the right mentality to have. He's just here trying to soak up, as much game as he can from the vets. He's got a good attitude about, his first big league camp and kind of enjoying it, and not just, thinking about when he's going to get here. But I think he's going to get here really soon, and he's going to be, he's got star potential. I mean, there's a reason why the A's had him number 1 on their draft board, and he fell to them to number 4, and they were ecstatic about that. And so far, from what we've seen, whether it was last year in the minors, the Arizona Fall League, right now in camp, he's putting on a show, and he's definitely leaving an impression. It's early on in spring, but he's definitely already leaving an impression with the coaches about what type of player that he is.
All right, let's end on this. It's only February 27th, so we still have a ton of games to go through March. You've been there now for a while. Have you found, for all the listeners and people who are viewing the show, and they're going to come down to Mesa, and they're going to be all around Arizona in the Valley of the Sun, have you found any new restaurants, any new places this spring, any new recommendations for us?
Well, I know that, I consider myself a big burrito taco guy. There's a place called Senor Taco that I had the other day. Handmade tortillas, incredible. Tacos, the meat was great at carne asada, al pastor, carnitas. They were all good. So if you're ever in the area, look up Senor Taco. They're not paying me to say this. I'm just saying it. They're a great spot. The tortillas, the handmade tortillas, that's a really clutch one. If you can find handmade tortillas, you got the makings of really good taco.
I wish they were paying us to talk about it. I talk about it all day long. It sounds great. Where is
we
it?
Could work that out. There's multiple. I think there's one in Mesa, but they're all around Arizona, so you'll find them.
Senor Tacos.
Yep, Senor Taco.
See, we do more than just bring you baseball. We're more than just baseball nerd. We bring you a lot more than that. All right, buddy, keep up the great. You're the guy. Everything comes through you. You're the guy.
I love it. I love telling these guys stories and bringing everyone behind the scenes. So I'm excited.
Keep doing a great job. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, Towny. See ya.
Martín Gallegos from MLB.com covers the Athletics. Senor Tacos. Love it. Homemade tortillas. I'm a big Al Pastor guy.
Yeah, same.
I haven't done Senor Tacos.
Yeah, it's the first time I've heard of it. We didn't go to any Mexican food spots while we were there this time.
Whoa.
When I was down there.
Whoa. Yeah, we got over. We recommend Mangos. It's downtown Mesa. Great little spot, family owned. Johnny D, the great Johnny Dasco.
Cal Ripken of the broadcast.
Oh, he's sensitive. I'm telling you, he's sensitive.
Tim and Chris Carey today. So it's 3 in a row now for Johnny.
Sensitive.
Right? 3 in a row? Yeah, 3 in a row for Johnny.
Oh, 2 in a row.
No, 3. He was back Tuesday. Tuesday, Wednesday, yesterday, and today. Be 3, right? Because he was out Monday when you.
No, because I was there Monday.
It was supposed to be.
I was there Monday with Chris Carey.
It was supposed to be Johnny, I thought, wasn't it?
No.
Oh.
Oh, was it? I don't know. It's spring training. It's all starting.
Well, Johnny's doing the game today with Chris Carey.
Do you know the Dodgers are halfway through spring already?
Oh, yeah, because they're playing in Japan, right?
They're playing in Tokyo. What, against the Cubs?
Yeah, because their first spring training game was last Thursday against the Cubs.
I heard that it was a note on halfway through Dodger spring training, top 3 things you need to know. And I was like, what? There is a Dodger note that we need to get to today. There is I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to it today. I told you about Driveline and the connection. If you don't know what Driveline is, it started in the Pacific Northwest. They now have a place in Arizona and just recently opened up in Florida. It's where players go to try and get better, pitchers and hitters, and work on their craft, and they do it through a lot of technology. Would that be a good way to explain it?
Yes.
Layman's terms. So there was an unbelievable article. I don't remember when it was this winter. I got it somewhere where because the Red Sox have hired, I think it's 6 or 7 driveline people to work inside their organization. So the Boston Globe did a in-depth look, and now Jeff Passan of ESPN has done something where they're taking their top 3 prospects and done a story about their 3 prospects and how the driveline people inside the Red Sox organization are trying to turn these kids into super hitters, right? And they've got the Ted Williams hit it hard and hit, the Ted Williams saying, do you have the saying in front of you?
I'll get it real quick. We read it.
Actually, you know what? I have it.
Well, let's pause 10 seconds for station identification right here on AceCast.
So they got all the technology in these cages, and in cage 4, right inside the main entrance, it says, we're going to learn how to do 2 things. We're going to hit it hard, and we're going to hit it in the air. I want to get into that because I don't disagree, but labs are different from actual games. Working out and preparing is different than playing the actual sport. And that's what we forget in all of sports, right? There's still the things you have to do to win the actual game. Technology is everywhere in sports, and it's great. We're trying to make human beings better. Everything is faster, harder. We're all in on that. But once the game starts, you still got to be able to do certain things and feel, not speed, not power, feel still plays in every single sport. And these labs aren't necessarily teaching feel. What do we got next? Do I have time?
Yeah, you have time to start this. We have the 2 interviews that we can play throughout the next hour.
All right, coming up next, power versus feel. Just not in baseball, but in all sports, right here on A's Cast Live.
Single game tickets are now on sale for the 2025 season. Secure your seats today for opening week against the Chicago Cubs and lots of exciting giveaways, including an A's basketball jersey, a straw hat, and 3 bobbleheads. You'll be nodding yes to our Brent Rooker, Mason Miller, and Lawrence Butler bobbleheads in June and July. More hot ticket homestands as your green and gold take on the Giants, Padres, Yankees, and Mets. Get your tickets at athletics.com/tickets. That's athletics.com/tickets.
A's outfielder Brent Rooker joined Chris Townsend during spring training to discuss the confidence inside the A's clubhouse.
So it's a very real confidence. It's a very real optimism. It's unique in that it's a confidence that also comes with the knowledge that we haven't proven anything yet, and we know that people on the outside still don't believe in us, but we believe in ourselves and we believe in each other, and we are at a very cool crossroads of being hungry to compete, wanting to compete, and knowing that we can compete, while also being confident what the future looks like. So it's a cool feeling inside the clubhouse right now. Guys are working really hard. Guys are communicating well. We're talking. We're trying to help each other get better, and that's a cool place to be.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/A'sCast.
Looking to stay up to date on all things A's? Head over to athletics.com/A'sCast. That's athletics.com/A'sCast to listen to A's baseball in full 24/7 coverage of the A's, only on A's Cast. With a single click, you can stream great shows, live pre- and post-game coverage, and of course, all the great action of the A's this season. Head to athletics.com/A'sCast today.
The time is now. Pitchers and catchers have officially reported to Arizona. Grab your sunglasses, A's gear, and get ready for some fun in the sun as the Athletics get ready for the 2025 season. Now's the time to make plans to catch us in Mesa, Arizona, starting on February 23rd, and enjoy the sunshine of your family and friends. Grab your tickets early for the best seats at the lowest prices as your green and gold take on the Giants, Padres, Dodgers, Angels, and more at Hohokam Stadium. Don't wait. Get your tickets at athletics.com/spring. That's athletics.com/spring.
The A's YouTube page is your go-to destination destination for A's video content. Get access to great highlights, exclusive behind-the-scenes content, classic games, A's Cast Live, and more. Visit youtube.com/athletics.
A's Cast Live continues from the studio. Here's Chris Townsend.
One of our great callers into our postgame show, George from San Francisco. Towny, wait, you guys, 650, you have no idea. You have no idea what you're getting into. Once we start the postgame show, I'm just warning you now. We got some characters. George in San Francisco. Towny. Do you have any?
I don't think I have anything right now.
Towny. Actually, I do have the Mizuno lab coat, doctor's coat from George. It's here in the studio that I will be delivering to Scott Emerson, big league weekend when we go to Vegas. George in San Francisco is one of the best. He sent me, have you seen this Yan guy for the Rockies?
I saw the highlight yesterday.
And if you've been watching MLB Network, he's a left-handed pitcher, and he strikes people out. He does crazy stuff. Now, there's going to be people who don't like it. I get it. Because and it doesn't matter what sport, right? Not everybody likes showboating. They don't. Act like you've been there, as they say. But I don't know this Yan kid. But if we're going to be all in on bat flipping, and this has been my thing, and I know I come at it as a former pitcher, a not very good one, but that's how I do see the game. You're going to have all your armor on. You got the elbow guard. You got the guard on your ankle. You got pine tar. You got everything in the world to help you. But we can't put spider tack on the ball. We can't put anything on the ball. But you get all the advantages as an offensive player. All the advantages in the world. And if your asses want to bat flip and do all that kind of stuff, well, you know what? I'm all for this kid being like the KBO.
I'll see if I can find the video to play.
The Korean baseball, is it an organization or what?
Korean baseball organization.
Yeah. They encourage, because we had Dan the K-Man Straley on, former A, who pitched there, and said they encourage everybody to be flamboyant. Well, you know what? I am all for pitchers going Dennis Eckersley and pointing at people. Yes, you want to bat flip, you want to do all that, that's fine. I'm cool with it, as long as pitchers can now celebrate when they strike you out. It's got to go both ways. You can't bat flip and stare at balls and take forever to run around the bases and then get mad if you get punched out and the pitcher celebrates. You can't get mad. You have to wear it. If pitchers have to wear your celebrations on the mat, if they have to wear your celebrations when you hit a dinger, then you got to wear their celebrations when they strike you out. It's got to go both ways. Either everybody does it or you don't do it at all. Now, easier said than done, because all of a sudden people start getting angry. Remember Grant Balfour would just be yelling because he's nuts, right? And then people took exception to it because they thought he was yelling at them, but he wasn't yelling at them. He was just yelling.
I'm trying to download it.
I'm trying to give you time here.
Well, I'm trying to get it where it sounds good on video.
Our buddy,
and
by the way,
KSTE.
Good news on our buddy Liam Hendricks starting to throw again,
Yeah.
coming back from Tommy John, beat cancer, and now coming back from Tommy John, starting to throw. Hopefully, you're going to see some batters here in Red Sox camp, where we'll always love. Liam Hendricks has been on this program a bazillion times. He's another guy that if Liam Hendricks throws a pitch that he doesn't like, turn the crowd mic off. He's cursing the whole time. But some people are like, is he cursing at me? No, he's cursing at himself. But you can't flip out by pitchers doing their thing if you guys all want to bat flip. All right, with that said, check out this Yan kid, lefty for the Colorado Rockies. He's very athletic, and he's got some crazy He's got some crazy moves on the mound, but he likes to celebrate when he gets people out. And I'm all for it if we're going to bat flip. If we're going to let the kids play, well, you have to let the kids on the mound play just like you do. You want the kids to be able to do it. We all love bat flips, right?
It's playing right now. The way I got it set up, they did like a 3D tracker for Statcast, so you can see. Then there's his motion when he does it.
Yeah, he's all over the joint, like he's dancing up there. Look at that, doing the splits. Hey, do I normally like that? Probably not. But now in the era where the hitters want to hit it and stare at it, it was one thing when Canseco did it. My man Jose, if you can see, I got the Jose bobbleheads right here. If my man, but Jose Canseco is a very large man on steroids. You going to pick a fight with Jose Canseco? No.
Probably not.
No. So when Jose Canseco hit it and stared at it, well, what are you going to do about it? You want a piece of him? He'll meet you at the bus after the game. Nobody want a piece of Jose Canseco. But now we're in a world where everybody's bat flipping, so I have no problem. And you know what? It's entertainment. We're in the entertainment business. Let the kids play. All right. You want to strike people out and dance? I am all for it. And I can't wait till the hitters get angry. And you're going to be, oh, Joey Bats flipping it in the air. That's cool.
That was like 10 years ago now. That's insane.
Power versus feel. I want to quickly tell you about an article that I read in the airport, in the San Jose airport before we went to Dallas. Because everything now we talk about is all about the different biomechanics and technology to help baseball players and body movement, how to maximize what's best for you and your body and make you a better player. Why wouldn't you? I would do it. Everybody would do it. Makes total sense. But this was an article in Golf Digest. And why do I bring up golf? Because I've tried to tell people, and I know we got new listeners, Talk 650 KSTE, is golf was using all this technology way before baseball. And it wasn't to make humans better. It was to sell golf clubs, right? That's their business. I'm selling balls. I'm selling irons. I'm selling drivers. That's Titleist's business. Titleist started using TrackMan like in the late 80s. Like my brother was testing as a golf professional with Titleist in Carlsbad years and years and years ago, the primitive years of TrackMan. So golf's way ahead. Why? Because they're selling product. And now golfers were really the first when they were testing these clubs with this technology. They started realizing, wow, this can help me. So baseball was really slow to this, and now baseball is all in. And these guys who really started it all, Driveline, well, I wouldn't say they started all, but they kind of became the chic place in the Pacific Northwest. And like I said, they've expanded to Arizona. They're now in Tampa, a lot of players. You pay these guys and you go there and you try and develop new pitches, try and throw harder. You try and learn to be a better hitter. That's what they do. They're called labs. We like to call them labs. You got Kyle Bodie up there.
Yeah, he works for the Red Sox, I think.
Yeah, he's an assistant for the Red Sox.
Yeah.
We were in line together I should have asked him. We were in line together at the hotel at the winter meetings. It was late because I got in late. It was only him and me waiting in line, waiting for someone to show up to check us in to the hotel. We got to get him on the. We got to get. I think even though he's with the Red Sox,
special advisor to the CBO.
So we got to have him on. He's the guy who started Driveline, and he's the prominent figure in the article, the Boston Globe, about the Boston Red Sox and hiring all the Driveline guys. But this article was fascinating to me in Golf Digest because it made me think of baseball. So what is happening is ShotLink. This is probably something you've never heard of, but there's a thing called ShotLink on the PGA Tour. They track every single time a player makes a swing from the driver all the way to the putter. They track your round of 18 holes, and they have everything data on what you do. So they know what you hit, when you hit it, how you hit it, whether it's good or it's bad, and they track all this data. Now, what they've found with a lot of young golfers, as we're in the era of speed and power, club head speed, how fast do I swing this thing? Not not gripping it hard, but how fast can I swing and to generate the power, the launch effect, right? Like a catapult. Wind it up and let it go. And how far can you hit? Well, we got kids hitting golf balls 340, 350. It's insane. And the younger players now are hitting at distances we've never seen. And it's incredible and it's great. But what this article talked about, there's a problem. And the problem is this. When all you do is train power, speed, power, that's great on the range, and that's great in a lab. But all of a sudden, you've got to go tee it up, and you're playing for money in your career, which means you've got to score. You've got to actually play the game. Like all of a sudden, you're leaving the lab. You now got to get in the box, and you got to hit, and you better be successful, or you're not going to be here long term. So the article talked about from 150 yards in, this is where you score, right? 150, 125, 100, even less than 100. Those are your feel wedges. Now, you're not swinging those clubs as hard as you can. What the data has shown us is that these kids who have these incredible record speeds, club head speed, really struggle when it comes time for the scoring clubs because they don't have feel. The data shows that. Because obviously with your field clubs, the closer you hit the ball to the hole, the better chance you have to make a birdie. And the more birdies you make, the more money you make. It's about making money and winning tournaments or collecting a check. You finish a lot of top 10s, you're going to make a lot of money. But these kids train so much on speed that they lose feel with the money clubs. And it's a whole article. It was from, probably was in the November issue because we were traveling early December, or maybe it was the December issue of Golf Digest. So I was in the airport reading it, and it made me think of baseball. Yeah, it is great when you watch Jose Canseco take BP. Yoenis Cespedes took one of the great BPs of all time. Cespedes' BP. Barry Bonds was legendary. Now, the great hitters, like Ray Fosse told us, Ray Fosse, I think it was in a spring training game because obviously Fosse was an American League guy and one of the greats, if not the greatest player of all time, Henry Aaron. He played against Henry Aaron in a game, might have been spring training, where Ray Fosse said, and at that time when Ray Fosse told us this, he was probably late 60s, maybe almost 70, and he told us about how you could hear Henry Aaron's bat speed. It was so incredible. Woof, through the zone. And it stuck with Ray all those years. And it was a fabulous story that Ray would tell about the one time he competed. Oh, it was the All-Star game. It was the All-Star game. That's what it was. He's like, Henry Aaron, here you got the greatest players. It was Henry Aaron's bat speed that really stood out to Ray. So all the great hitters, the all-time greats, they all got great bat speed. They all hit the snot out of the ball. I remember in I think it was 92 at the All-Star game. So before the All-Star game now, they started for many years. They have the big convention. So everybody can go and see all the stuff with baseball before the a couple days before the game. I remember in 92 in San Diego, I was at this convention, and in one of the halls, they had a couple ex-players that got up there and talked, and fans got to talk. And the great Dan Quisenberry, remember him, closer for the Royals, no longer with us, but left us too soon. But Dan Quisenberry was asked questions. And someone brought up George Brett. And you know how much I love George Brett. And he said, you always knew when George Brett, these guys obviously are Hall of Famers. He goes, you always knew when George Brett was in the cage because you could hear the sound. You know, an empty ballpark, guys taking BP, you hear the crack of the bat. But and I'll compare, you knew when Cespedes was in the cage. Whack! But he said there was this sound that was off George Brett's bat because he hit it so hard, you could hear it. You knew. You didn't even have to see who was in the cage. You knew when George Brett was in the cage. So the great ones already have that. And so now what the Red Sox are doing is they're trying to get and the article's about 3 of their top prospects. They're trying to teach these kids about hitting the ball hard and hitting the ball in the air. And it's they talk controlled violence and all this kind of stuff, right? I don't disagree. Who doesn't want to hit the ball hard? The only problem is once you get into the game, and they make a very good point in this article, you can see it on ESPN.com, is that you got to be able, you just can't have one swing. You got to be able to move that barrel around because the ball is constantly moving, right? It's coming at you with velocity. It's coming at you with sink. It's coming at you with spin, from a curveball to a slider to a sweeper to a split. The ball's moving. So you've got your barrel, you got to have the barrel meted in a lot of different places. But when it's grip it and rip it constantly, unless you are an all-time great, and put it this way, anybody had 3,000 hits, not every hit was hard. What we have seen with players who aren't all-time greats and they're grip and rip it, they tend to strike out a lot. And they become a player that's very peak and valley. Peaks and valley. You're hell on wheels for a week, and then you can't hit for 2. How many guys have we seen like that? I can give you one guy that's a modern-day player that played for us was Matt Chapman. Matt Chapman had 1 speed. God love him. I love Matt Chapman. What a gamer he was. But Matt Chapman had 1 speed, and it was go time. And when Matt Chapman was going good, boy, he looked like this guy's going to be one of the greatest third basemen of all time. But when Matt Chapman was not going good, he was a flat-out easy out, and the numbers show you. And he struggled with strikeouts. He struggled with consistency. He had a little better year last year in San Francisco. But, there's a reason the Toronto Blue Jays were like, They had him. They didn't want to offer him a long-term deal. Giants are desperate, needed somebody to take their money, and Chapman was in the perfect spot. But you see these guys, because we can follow their weeks and their months. What made Brent Rooker different last year? The fact that Rooker got hits that weren't always hard. So all of a sudden, he had more infield hits. He had more ground ball hits. And all of a sudden, the average went up because you're not always going to hit. Once you get in the game, there's got to be feel. You got to put the ball in play. And if you're gripping and ripping it when you're 0-2, 1-2 in pitchers counts, these pitchers are going to put you away with their strikeout stuff because if you're trying to hit everything and you're trying to max everything out, good luck. Now, if you're an all-time great, it's going to work for you. And as they say, this is what Ted Williams used to say. Well, unless these kids are Ted Williams, I'm going to be interested to see how these kids that they follow, it's Christian Campbell,
Roman Anthony, and is it Mayer?
Marcelo Mayer.
Yeah.
So there's these 3 kids that Jeff Passan has highlighted that they've been working with these kids, and they put them in the lab, which I'm not saying is bad, but you've got to have feel too. You've got to be able to make contact. When we have a game and there's a runner on third and you need to get that guy in and all you're doing is gripping and ripping it and striking out, you're no good to me. You're no good to me if you can't put the ball in play on a consistent basis. So it looks great when you have all this technology around you and they talk about all the different things that they're using with technology to monitor how these players are doing. But if you're striking out a lot, let's say over 30% of the time, are you that effective of a player?
When you told me about the article, because I saw it was on there yesterday, I never got a chance to read it because I saw Red Sox and I was like, I'm not interested in reading about the Red Sox. Sorry, no offense to Red Sox Nation.
Wow.
But maybe think of the 2019 Twins. The Jared Diamond of the New York Times wrote the book Swing Kings that I wrote during the pandemic.
That would be the Bomba Squad.
Who hit 307 home runs, and
that's the record to this day, right?
And they relied on launch angle and swinging up and hitting the ball hard, and all they cared about was hitting home runs. That's why they hit 307. I think the Yankees hit 306.
Well, they won the World Series.
Yeah, they did. Back in the 90s.
Oh wow, that the team that hit the most home runs
did not win the World Series.
Oh,
no.
Wow. Yes, the last time the Twins won the World Series would be that famous World Series against the Braves.
Jack Morris and John Smoltz.
1991.
Yeah. So that's how long it's been. But so the Twins, 307 home runs, relied on the launch angle swinging up, hitting the ball out of the ballpark. They didn't win anything. They won how many, like 24
Now,
straight playoff games they didn't win?
To be fair, there's a lot of things that go into winning. A lot has to do.
Yeah.
I saw this thing about Earl Weaver. Earl Weaver loved the home run and the 3-run home run, but Earl Weaver said, look at any game, and what does it mean? It's a cigarette in his mouth. Oh, what does it matter? It's your pitching.
Oh, you sent me that.
Yeah, you pitch good, you win. You don't pitch good, you don't win. And that's true, right? I mean, all sports, I talk about football all the time, being in the NFL, they always said, hey, no matter what you got to have a quarterback, you got to block and tackle. You don't block and tackle and you don't have a quarterback, you got no chance. So there's the fundamentals. But what the last team to win the World Series and hit the most home runs in the regular season was?
Wasn't the Yankees in 09?
It was 09. The New York Yankees.
Who hit the most last year? I think we did this, but I forgot already.
So the team that had the most home runs and win the World Series, you got to go back to 2009. Where were all of you watching, listening on A's Cast and 650 KSTE in Sacramento? Where were you in 2009? Because 2009 things seems like a long time ago.
That was my second year of college. The Yankees led the league in home runs last year, and they lost in the World Series, but they did not win.
I mean, home runs are great, but you got to have feel. You got to be able to play every single day. You're going to play games that are different. Some games are going to be 1-0. Some games 2-1, 3-2. Sometimes it's going to be 11-9. There's a lot of different ways you got to be able to win games in baseball, and it's an everyday sport. And once again, when you're gripping and ripping it every single at bat, when you're going good, you look like you're hell on wheels. When you're not going good, boy, you struggle. And what happens with baseball? 0 for 4 turns into 0 for 8, turns into 0 for 12, turns into 1 for 14. And man, this is a game of failure. And when that failure starts to mount, you start playing head games and all that stuff. That lab stuff won't matter anymore. You've got to be able to be productive and put the ball in play. Yes, I want you to put it in because the harder you hit it, the better chance you're going to hit it where nobody is. I get that. But you got to have feel. You've got to be able to foul balls off. You got to be able to extend at bats. You got to be able to take the ball every so often and get a cheapie the opposite way for a right-hander into right field, for a left-hander into left field. Sometimes hitting that ground ball, guys, you're a left-handed hitter. Guy stealing second base. Shortstop goes over to cover it. You just hit a ground ball to the left side. It's an easy base hit. Sometimes you need that to get you going. You got to have feel. Putting the ball in play, because guess what? You put the ball in play, things happen. Teams make errors. Teams aren't perfect. Yes, these are the best infielders in the world, but they'll throw a short hop to first base. They'll throw it over the first base. They're productive outs. When you strike out, they don't have to defend anything. Remember that. I don't have to defend anything. You put a ball in play, you make somebody have to do something. I mean, Aaron Judge in the World Series booting the ball in center is one of the greatest examples. You put the ball in play, something will happen. If you don't put the ball in play, that says you're an easy out walking back to the dugout. So love the idea, swing hard, put it in the air, but can you consistently do that? Pro sports is about consistency. You have to be able to be consistent to stay here for a long time. And the average player, we talk so much about the money and how much everybody's making. Reality is the average player doesn't stay in the game very long.
Short shelf life, because you got to perform, and a lot of guys aren't, or injuries, things like that. And the league, but the minimum salary will go up, and I'm sure that it'll be highlighted because we care about money so much in this sport. For all the new listeners on Talk 650 KST and listening on AceCast, you'll find out that no sport talks more about their money than Major League Baseball and what players make.
Because we don't have a salary cap
for now.
When you have a salary cap, when you go, oh, that guy got the max. Oh, that guy, no one cares, right? Because there's only so much you can make, and got to stay under the cap. And then once you sign, nobody cares. Our sport, because there is no cap, the talk of money. They've already put out a thing next year's free agency. I'm like, who cares?
No.
Like right now, I don't care about next year's free agency. Now, it could lead to trades and stuff like that, and that's because of you don't want to pay somebody. But, I mean, it's just like, my God, we're always – yeah, it is always about money. We don't like to do that here on this show. You have to talk about it because you that's our sport. But
before we got about 2 minutes before we got a break. I want to read this quote for you, and then tell you who it was, and then you tell me what you think of it.
All right.
We were the better team. They can talk whatever they want to talk, but we win game 1, which we should have. We lost game 2 and 3. We win game 4, and we should have won game 5. That's former Yankee Nestor Cortes saying he believes the Yankees were the better team in the 2024 World Series. Your thoughts?
It is an idiot comment.
Well, there's a reason why. The first line. We should have won game 1. Dude, you gave up the home run that Freddie Freeman hit, the most iconic home run in Dodger history since the Kirk Gibson home run in '88. You gave up that home run. So don't say we should have won.
Who picked the Dodgers in 5?
You did.
How did this series end?
5 games.
Paul Hembekides, who we talk a lot about on this show from ESPN. If you're not familiar with them, you will be if you listen to this show and watch the show. He is the top researcher for ESPN. He is also a TV personality on their morning show, Get Up. You got to get up really early because it's on the East Coast.
Fact.
So a lot of you won't see him because it is so early. But he is the guy that supplies all the research for Sunday Night Baseball and Monday Night Football. Came on this program and said, this is not a fair fight. The Dodgers are going to win this easily. They are by far a better team. It's reality. I don't know what he's talking about. I don't know what he's watching. Clearly, I don't want him in my front office because he doesn't know what he was watching.
Well, that's Brewer great.
Dodgers defensively. See, that's the thing. We don't talk about the game enough. Base running matters, and base running played big in Game 5, right? Defense matters. Base running. Everybody just wants to talk about fantasy football stats. It's the same thing in football. That's what everybody wants to talk about is their fantasy teams. My fantasy team, my fantasy team. Well, it's just not about fantasy, right? It's about how you play the sport. And base running and defense and all these things matter whether you're going to win a lot of games or not. And it's one of the reasons why the Dodgers are so good. We will get to that, maybe not today, maybe tomorrow. Coming up next, the guy who changed really everything for 2025 for the Athletics, and the future. Is the future now? Coming up next right here on A's Cast Live.
The time is now. Pitchers and catchers have officially reported to Arizona. Grab your sunglasses, A's gear, and get ready for some fun in the sun as the Athletics get ready for the 2025 season. Now's the time to make plans to catch us in Mesa, Arizona, starting on February 23rd, and enjoy the sunshine of your family and friends. Grab your tickets early for the best seats at the lowest prices as your green and gold take on the Giants, Padres, Dodgers, Angels, and more at Hohokam Stadium. Don't wait. Get your tickets at athletics.com/spring. That's athletics.com/spring. A's second baseman Zach Geloff was on A's Cast Live with Towny in Mesa and highlighted the young talent in the A's clubhouse.
Great. I mean, top to bottom of the order, we got guys that can run, can hit for power, can do the job. And then I feel like we're getting better defensively every year that we've been together as a group. And then we got guys that I feel like we've drafted well, we've developed really well. And then this offseason, I think the front office did a great job of going out and grabbing really talented guys. And also, I mean, they're just great guys in the clubhouse too, from what I've seen the past week or so. It's a lot of fun to be around the guys, and I'm looking forward to this year.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/A'sCast.
Single game tickets are now on sale for the 2025 season. Secure your seats today for opening week against the Chicago Cubs and lots of exciting giveaways, including an A's basketball jersey, a straw hat, and 3 bobbleheads. You'll be nodding yes to our Brent Rooker, Mason Miller, and Lawrence Butler bobbleheads in June and July. More hot ticket homestands as your green and gold take on the Giants, Padres, Yankees, and Mets. Get your tickets at athletics.com/tickets. That's athletics.com/tickets.
The A's YouTube page is your go-to destination for A's video content. Get access to great highlights, exclusive behind-the-scenes content, classic games, A's Cast Live, and more. Visit youtube.com/athletics.
Athletics DH Brent Rooker joined Towny on A's Cast Live during his extension press conference to discuss becoming the face of the franchise.
It's been a wild ride. It's
Crazy.
Yeah, it's happened quick. In a sense, and it feels like for me, in a sense, it's kind of taken a long time, obviously, because it took a little bit later into my career for things like this to start to develop. But it's been crazy. It's been fun. I owe a ton to this organization, the people in it, for giving me the opportunity that I was looking for a while, and I'm grateful I was able to take advantage of it and get to this point.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/AceCast.
A's Cast Live continues from the studio. Here's Chris Townsend.
All right, we got a half hour before baseball. Athletics and the Padres, second time as the A's opened up in Peoria to start spring.
Against Matt Waldron, who's pitching today for the Padres.
Severino makes his debut. So Luis Severino, I mean, he's the guy that kind of started the whole change in the culture of this organization. Like, he showed up. I remember the press conference at the Sawyer. Beautiful hotel, by the way. At the Sawyer. And when I came on before, then they did the press conference, and we had Severino on after. I remember going, this is big. Like, this guy's a dude. This is a legit pitcher. This is a guy who's pitched for the Yankees, the Mets. He's pitched on the biggest stage. Looking up his postseason. I mean, you got a guy that started 13 postseason games. He's played in a lot of postseason. He's been there, done that. Really, really exciting. So we're going to play Luis Severino for you. But before we do that, Henry Bolte, because at some point he is not going to be here. He'll get sent down. He is a second-round pick out of Palo Alto High School. I take offense with our general manager calling us South Bay honks.
I mean, we kind of are, but that's okay.
I take exception to it. But you look at his numbers last year, and what does this kid do? He hits for power. He's a big kid, stole 46 bases at multiple levels. He was in Lansing and then in Midland, so high A, then double A. Henry Bolt, so he had 69 games in high A, had a 912 OPS, 11 jacks, and he had 28 stolen bases. I mean, he's a big kid that can run and has power. I mean, that's exactly what you want, and you got to think that he'll end up in Midland, where he got called up at 54 games in Midland. So you think he'll start in Midland this year. It's not far away. God, how old is he? Is he 21 yet?
Yeah, he's 21.
Did he just turn?
August, so he'll be 22 in August.
Okay, he's just going to be 22 years old. He's exciting. The big kid from Palo Alto, we're excited about him. Here's Henry. Long enough, there's a Bay Area kid that I've been talking about going, he's coming. You get ready, and we followed him, and we've been following his journey. Henry Bolte, we've called him Bolte, but we're going to go with Bolte.
Yep.
From Palo Alto. How are you?
Good. I'm happy to be out here, happy to get spring going. You know, it's no better feeling than getting the year started, and fortunate to be up with Big League Club for spring, so it's been a lot of fun so far.
I remember when we first met you, second round pick, we're like, this guy's going to be the dude, and you've been doing that in the minor leagues. Just talk about your journey so far from high school and the things that you've been going through, the good and the bad in the minor leagues.
Yeah, I mean, it's just learning. Like, I look at it as going to school for baseball. I mean, that's kind of the decision I made, and that's playing every day. And so playing 120, 130 games a year is really what I'm looking to do to learn, gaining that experience. And like you said, it's both positive and negative. I mean, I'm learning how to show up 6 days a week and play, and there's good and bad that comes with that. Those times where you're having a bad week, you got a game the next day and the next day. So figuring out how to show up and make an adjustment and stick with it is tough. But then again, it's just an opportunity to learn playing every day. You're going to have 4 at-bats every night. And so sticking with that and knowing that it's a process has been the most important thing for me, and just learning to know that, hey, I'm not playing for maybe my 19-year-old season, 20-year-old season, but how to become a good, consistent big leaguer down the road and help the A's win a World Series ultimately.
And I like what we're seeing, how you fill out the box score. There's things that you do defensively. You're stealing bags. It's just, we're seeing the power. We're seeing everything we knew. But just talk about really developing into an all-around player.
Yeah, being able to impact the game, defense, on the base paths, in the box is holistically is kind of my goal. So if you walk me, I'm going to take second and be in scoring position, help the team win. But then, the biggest thing is learning that approach and how to, there's a guy on third or move a guy over, how to get those runs in when the ball club needs them. So, power and speed, that stuff will be there. It's really just refining the approach to be a whole hitter, whole baseball player, which is what we're working on.
What do you think this spring you need to show the front office for them to say, you know what, I think he's ready?
Yeah, I think it's just that approach, taking good at-bats, and it's the consistency of those at-bats. I just spoke about, playing 130 games in the minor leagues. I think it's 140 in AAA and AA and 162 in the big leagues, and it's just the difference between them and, some talented minor leaguers is the consistency. They know how to show up and have a good at-bat every day, and so being able to do that and not lose at-bats here and there or throw them away is one of the bigger things for me, and the consistency.
What was the big things that you worked on this offseason?
A lot of just simplifying my moves and getting to a good position to hit more consistently. So I think when I get there, things are great. I think when I'm a little bit behind or off timing, it's harder to make good contact. So I think that was one of the things, trying to just get to that spot a lot more consistently to give me a better chance to compete and hit against, really good pitchers.
Man, you filled out. You're
a little bit.
From the first time we had you just coming out of high school, you filled out a little bit.
Yeah, I put on, we're always a work in progress. I put on a few pounds. I'm getting a little bit older. I'm still young, not as young as I was.
How old are you now?
21. So I came in 18, so it's a little different. But so it's been 3 years, but I put on some good size, keeping the speed. So that's always the important thing, is filling out within within my body and keeping my gameplay. So, but it's been good.
I remember the first time we met you and the first time we had you on the show, I knew this kid does not want to be in the minor leagues long.
No.
I mean, this is, you envision yourself being here really quick.
Yeah, I mean, obviously don't want to rush it. You want to get here as soon as you can, but you want to show up being ready, being the player that you can be to help the ball club. You don't want to show up and, everyone's going to struggle, but you want to be ready. So I think you don't want to rush that process, but we're here to work, and that's what I've kind of looked at the last few years as is time to figure out how to become a big league baseball player.
Where do you think you're going to start?
Finish the year in AA. We've got a lot of outfielders. I'd imagine I go back and kind of get some games in there. I think I've only played 60 or some games there, so kind of go back and conquer that and then keep moving from there. But there's usually no telling.
And the good thing is, Sacramento's not too far from the Bay Area, so the family's not that far away.
I'll have it. Hey, whenever I make it there, everyone will be up. Everyone will come out. They'll love it, I'm sure. They already are itching. They itch to come out wherever I'm playing. They love it.
And have it. Just talk about that as a young player, to have that kind of family support and to have everybody's huge.
It's unbelievable. I think it made my first year in low A so much easier. I had my parents were coming up probably minimum of 2 games a week, maybe at home, and so. Yeah. I would tell them, you guys don't need to come all the time. They said, no problem. We'll sit in traffic. We'll come up there. And so having that support and knowing, good or bad game, they're there. And they couldn't be happier just watching me play. And so that's a huge thing, having their support for sure.
Well, you just need to know this. We talk about you all the time. We keep telling everybody he's coming. And we're following you, and we know you're going to be here sooner than later. But stay healthy. Yeah. Keep doing what you're doing.
Appreciate it.
And maybe we will see you in Sacramento.
Hopefully sooner rather than later, yeah.
Right? Because I know for everybody who's listening right now, you can't see it, but for everybody who's watching, this is the future of the Athletics, and we can't wait.
Appreciate that. I'm excited.
Henry Bolte. Remember that name. Well, you know what? We'll keep reminding you.
I just love that we found out that his name we've been saying his name wrong for all these years.
No, well, I mean, as he said, that's what everybody always calls him.
Well, we'll never know. There's Shea Langoliers. I can't even do it.
Langoliers.
I can't.
Shea Langoliers.
No. I'm trying to say it the way that other people have said it.
Langoliers. Yeah. There's a lot of different ways. It's funny. These kids now, they just don't even care.
Sometimes, I think it might have been Ray Jensen who works with us. Mentioned, he goes, I think it's just now players are just trolling broadcasters by saying how you say their last name. Could be a fair point. Could be a joke that they're playing on the broadcasters.
Yep, no doubt about it. We're gonna play Luis Severino. We'll save JT Ginn for tomorrow because he might be. When's he starting next?
Jeffrey Springs is tomorrow.
Okay, well, Severino, his second outing of the year.
Yeah,
Severino is somebody that, we'll talk a lot, about the change in culture and everything for the organization, but just from the player standpoint, to have somebody that you believe is going to give you 30 starts on 180 innings, maybe even 200 innings, what that would mean for this club that you haven't had that in a long time. I mean, the last guy to really give you that, you think Cole Irvin, JP Sears recently, but like a guy that premieres stuff. I mean, what a godsend JP Sears has been the past couple of years, going over 30 starts, 2 straight years. I mean, that's huge.
He looked good against, I know it's spring trade, but he looked good against the Giants the other day too.
Don't lose sleep on how good JP Sears, the potent, as he's learned, right? He's learning. Every year you learn more and you learn more. If JP Sears goes out 30 starts, wins a bunch of games, even though you don't care about wins, but wins a bunch of games, it gives you, don't be shocked. JP Sears could be really coming into his own. And Severino is a guy that has dominant stuff and is healthy and had a really good year for the Mets last year. And if he brings that with JP Sears, you get 2 guys that gives you that gives you 30 plus starts. So between 2 guys over 60 starts, wow. All of a sudden, this is an organization that we're looking around going, who's going to pitch? Who? Who? How are you going to, where are you going to get all these starts and all these innings to where now you're thinking, well, all right, well, you Severino and you got Sears and here comes Springs if he's healthy. Beto is a guy that can take the ball every 5 days. We now know that Joey Estes and Mitch Spence, those are really the guys that you see. And then all of a sudden you have the next level where you said, we've talked to JT Ginn and Brady Basso. And, so there's a stable of pitchers. Like if you have a stable of horses, the A's officially have a stable that you can weather some guys if they're down and have to go on the IL a little bit. Hopefully not, knock on wood, but it's just a reality. But there is a stable of pitchers to get you right now to get you through a season. But when you start a season, immediately you're talking about the guys who you feel are your primetime guys. And my God, Luis Severino. His signing, you can't say it enough, was just monstrous. It was monstrous. Because you start knocking down all the different narratives that were so negative, right? And we knew they were going to be there. And some of them are not going to change. It's just a reality. When you have a divorce, it is going to be messy. It is going to be hard. People are getting left behind. And it hurts. I get it. But this show, we have to move forward with where the organization's going. And the narratives of no one's going to sign in Sacramento, A's are never going to spend money, like all these narratives, that Severino was the start of saying, we told you it was going to change. But you know what? Actions speak louder than words. My mom used to say that all the time. You can talk a big talk, but actions speak louder than words. So you need to prove it. Yeah, conversations are great, but you need to prove it. And no doubt about it, the money spent on Severino was eye-opening around our sport. Everybody was like, whoa, it was shocking. And then now since then, Rooker, Kotze, hopefully Lawrence Butler. And then all of a sudden people are like, wow, this thing is different. This thing is dramatically different. And it's going to take a while, right? To turn a ship, you just don't turn left in the ship. It takes a while to turn a ship. And when you're turning that ship, it takes a while. A lot of people time to, as it turns, to really believe how it's, what direction you're going in. But you just keep doing it. You keep doing what you do, and actions speak louder than words. And then everybody starts to realize team starts winning. They're spending money. The ballpark in Sacramento sold out. Everybody's having a great time. I mean, a place can be sold out every single night. People are going to be loving them some baseball. And it's going to be people having fun again. I'm never going to say anything bad about the fan base in the Bay Area. Love the people. I mean, we live in the Bay Area. But divorces are messy and they're hard. And people are going to be angry. Some people will never come back. That's totally understand. And I will never say, I wish you luck. I wish you'd stay with us. But if you don't, I understand. Now, obviously, the people who are watching this and listening to this are staying with us. And time heals. And if the team starts winning, that'll bring people back. But also, you're bringing in new. I can't tell you how many friends that I have that live in and around. Some of my really good friends, like one of my very dear friends, a college teammate, lives in Elk Grove. And he's talked to me about how you've got people who live in and around the Sacramento area who may be Giant fans. And there's a lot of A's fans because a lot of people from the East Bay have moved up there. But you got a lot of people who may be Giant fans, but all of a sudden, man, there's a team in my town now. So I'm all in. You can change people's viewing habits. You can change people's listening habits. You can change people's how they spend their entertainment buck. You can change all of that. And we're going to do that. And we're already seeing it. So when you got a warm summer night and you got, the best players in the world coming to West Sacramento, people are going to be juiced. They're going to be fired up. Obviously, it's an NBA town. NBA will be over in the summer. And now you have something you've never had before. It's going to be quite the experience. And Luis Severino is the guy who kicked it all off. Because it's not like you're bringing a bunch of who. No, you got players that people know. Baseball people know exactly who Luis Severino is. He is somebody that, a lot of teams, he's your one or your two on a lot of different teams, especially teams that they're looking for starting pitching. And by the way, who was looking for starting pitching this offseason?
Everyone.
Especially David Force.
Yeah.
He went out and got his guy.
Think the Mets could have used him now with the injuries to Montas and Minaya?
Two former A's.
Yeah.
And we offered a contract to Frankie Montas, supposedly. Hard not to be excited. And we're going to see him for the first time. Well, we're not going to see him. You'll be able to hear it on A's Cast and Talk 650 KSTE. We'll see the video, but every single time Luis Severino takes the mound, you're like, there's the dude. We got the dude. And I tracked him down. I was not leaving Arizona without talking to him, or while you were still there. So to tell you, I kept going, Sevy, got to have you on. Yeah. But he's busy, right? There's a lot of stuff going on. So finally, I went through the clubhouse and I went into the weight room and I said, hey, we're going to be leaving soon. Got to have you on. Yeah. No problem.
And it was his birthday.
Yeah. So he was trying to get it out. He was trying to get a quick workout before he left for his birthday. And I was like, bro, we've got to. I went Johnny.
You went full Johnny.
Bro, we got to have you on the show.
Bro, we got to have you on, bro.
And he was great. On his birthday, came out, did the interview with us. Here is the big right-hander. On A's Cast Live, Luis Severino, the big free agent pickup for the Athletics in the offseason. Last time we talked to you, Sevy, was when you just signed your contract and we had that great press conference in Sacramento. Now your first taste of Arizona spring training with the A's. How are things going?
Everything's good, just getting to know the guys here, my teammates. Got a couple cool 2 weeks. Just, getting my feet wet here, just throwing bullpens and getting to know everybody.
So when I think about where we were at the Sawyer Hotel, and we talked about you were the start of change with this organization, and you talked about you saw how this team was a lot like that last really good A's team you played against. And since then, Brent Rooker signs, now Mark Kotsay signs, we're hearing Lawrence Butler could sign. Yep. You were the first. What does it mean to watch all this change around you?
I mean, it's unbelievable. When I talk with this team, they told me they were gonna do good stuff for this team, and they were not lying. So just seeing those guys, they're gonna stay here. Hopefully Lawrence, stay here for a long time. I can play with him, and just learn from those guys how it is to be to be an Ace. Just happy for this team, happy for this fan base. I think we're gonna be good.
You remember being a young, hungry player, right? What's it like as a veteran guy now looking at all these young guys who these young kids, they're ready to grow up and they're ready to win?
Yeah, for me, just learning from the guys that like when I was younger, Ceci Sabathia, Ivan Nova, Michael Pineda, I played with Aero. So those guys teach me how it was, how it is to be in the big leagues. So I would try to do the same thing with those guys, if they need me. When my first year, I was trying to impress everybody, So right now we're just, trying to get ready for the season. So if I need to talk to those guys and let them know, you don't have to be 100% every time, you don't have to go 100% every time, When we need you to go 100% up there and pitch, that's the day you want to compete. So don't go out there and go crazy and try to get hurt and taking ground balls or trying to catch a fly ball that you don't need to. So just to let them know what I learned when I was younger.
I think about you as a veteran leader now, right? Not only are the big thing for you is to take the ball every 5 days, but to be the leader of the staff, and everybody's going to look up to you. You played in the big markets, right? You played in New York for both the Yankees and the Mets. You've pitched a ton in the postseason. I think a lot of the Spanish-speaking young pitchers can really use you. So just talk about what it's like for you now as a veteran leader in this clubhouse.
Yeah, for me, just, picking my spot to talk to those guys, like I was talking with Beto, yesterday when he threw out today before we threw a live BP. And then today, there was a couple guys up there, Otañez threw today. Just seeing the way they pitch, what they like to do, just picking their brains to see, what is the mindset when they go into attack hitters. So I can just talk about what I like to do, what is my routine, what is my expectation every time I take the ball. So I think there's a lot of talents here, a lot of guys who I think they're going to be great. I think they just need to keep working hard, keep believing in themselves, and they're going to be good.
All right, it's your birthday today. So what do Arizona? It's your first spring training in Arizona. Any big plans for the birthday? Anything you're going to be doing tonight here in Arizona, in Phoenix, Scottsdale, Tempe area?
Yeah, definitely go out with the wife, some friends, and eat something, might get a little bit of a glass of wine.
Yeah.
Celebrate a little bit. But, so far, this is really nice. I like to shop around, there's a lot of good restaurants, so I will have a good time tonight.
Because this is your first experience with the Cactus League. You've been in the Grapefruit League, where we always talk about how everything is so spread out. With all the Arizona teams, you're pretty close. So you're going to get your first experience with that.
Yeah, when I signed here, my agent, everybody told me, hey, you're going to like it there because everything is so nice. Everything is close. You don't have to drive 2 hour and a half. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, we talked to Jeffrey Springs earlier today, and he said, I wanted 30 starts. I said, well, if Severino gives us 30 starts and you give us 30 starts and Sears gives us It's going to be a playoff team. This team's hungry. It's ready to win.
Yeah, for me, I'm pushing 33. You know, I got 30, 31, 32 last year, so I'm looking to push a little bit more, you know, mark 200 innings. That's my goal this year. So, you know, I have to work on being healthy all year and just trying to be good.
We love to hear it. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Good luck. We'll talk to you throughout the season. We'll see you in Sacramento.
Thank you.
Happy birthday on that day to Luis Severino. 33 starts. Love hearing that.
You don't hear that a lot from pitchers anymore.
No. They're too worried talking about their data. He's about 32 starts, 33 starts. I mean, that would be huge for this team. You know, it's interesting watching all these interviews. Unfortunately, if you're just listening on A's Cast or Talk 650 KSTE, it's amazing all the different outfits I have on during these interviews.
You're like Steve Harvey on Family Feud.
Not that I want to do that, but they're like all the different things that we had going on. It's like, Jesus, how much clothes? I don't want to have to bring that much clothing to Arizona.
Did you ever notice that? Do you ever watch Family Feud with Steve Harvey?
Not anymore.
So
I'll see clips of it when he does funny stuff.
There'll be times like where he's hosting, and then every time the show ends and like the family wins and they come back for the next day, they have the same clothes on, but Steve Harvey has a different suit on. So like they'll win like 3 days in a row, they have the same clothes on still, but Harvey has a different suit on. Only he changes clothing, which it makes sense. He's the host, but
he's the star.
It's just so funny. It's like, wait, does no one else pick up on this? Am I the only nerd that notices that the family has the same clothes on?
We have to get into the Dodgers and the deferred money.
It's not that much money. You're telling people why it's not that much.
Why? You know what? Hey, they're able to do it, right? But it's like, wow. Like it's gotten to a point to where it's wow. And you know what? I'll talk about it tomorrow. Every sport needs a villain. Super teams are good for sports, right? A lot of you out there Niner fans. And the Niners were the super team for a long time. Not this night. We're talking about the Joe Montana, Bill Walsh. I mean, every sport needs a super team because you need somebody to root against, root for, root against. The Chiefs have kind of been that lately. You think about the Bulls or whoever. I mean, super teams are not bad for sports. But more importantly, spring training coming your way.
Johnny and Chris Carey.
We got the A's and we got the Padres coming up right here on A's Cast. And Talk 650 KSTE in Sacramento. We'll see everybody tomorrow right here on A's Cast Live.
Single game tickets are now on sale for the 2025 season. Secure your seats today for opening week against the Chicago Cubs and lots of exciting giveaways, including an A's basketball jersey, a straw hat, and 3 bobbleheads. You'll be nodding yes to our Brent Rooker, Mason Miller, and Lawrence Butler bobbleheads in June and July. More hot ticket homestands as your green and gold take on the Giants, Padres, Yankees, and Mets. Get your tickets at athletics.com/tickets. That's athletics.com/tickets.
This has been a presentation of The Athletics.